This is going to be kind of my base recipe modified a little bit, but I'm going to show you how you can do this with stuff that you probably do have laying around in the pantry. You might need to get an ingredient or two, but for the most part, you can make this with just about anything you got. So you're lucky if your local Chinese restaurant is even delivering or even offering takeout right now. So what I'm going to show you is how I whip together a stir fry in the style of like chicken and broccoli. In fact, what I'm going to make is chicken and broccoli, and I have a little bit of a twist that I'm going to put on it to allow this to be something that you'd be able to make for yourself. So the ingredients that you need are chicken. Now, there's a special way that I marinate the chicken, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You'll need some broccoli, which I have right here. Oyster sauce is something that definitely is helpful to have. You don't need it. You need some chicken stock. You need cornstarch, soy sauce, sesame oil. This is optional. It's also very strong. I'm going to go ransack my fridge. I realize everybody doesn't have oyster sauce, so I'm going to give you a suitable substitute. All right. So, you know, we get totally sauced in this house. So I got a whole bunch of different types of sauces that I'm going to go with the simplest one that you could find. Ketchup. Believe it or not, it's going to work, guys. I'm telling you. Marinating the chicken really couldn't be easier at this point. What you need to do is basically break down the chicken and get it into a bowl. But first, what I'm going to do is prepare the marinade, and that is pretty simple. You want some baking soda. That's going to help to break down the proteins in the chicken a little bit. You want maybe like half a teaspoon to a teaspoon for this amount of chicken. I think I have about 14 ounces of chicken here, and equal amount of cornstarch. This is it's basically twofold. It's gonna help you build your sauce and also serve to tenderize the chicken a little bit. Thin it out with some soy sauce, about a tablespoon, and then about half a tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. Be sparing with this, it's very strong. You notice it starts to foam up a little bit. That's the baking soda kind of reacting with the soy sauce a little. And you'll note, this doesn't seem like a lot of marinade. It's like just a couple tablespoons, right? It's just gonna coat your chicken for right now, and this is just basically to get it prepped for the cook. Then as far as the chicken, you wanna cut this into slices, like what you get chicken with broccoli at Chinese restaurant. The best way to do that is go across a breast like that, and now just cut on a diagonal. And you end up with these nice little slices that are going to be nice to bite into just because of the way the fiber is running. And you want it nice and thin because you want this to cook up very fast. Just do this with the whole thing. Pop your chicken into the marinade. And here you might need to get your hands involved a little bit. Just make sure it's nice and coated. Say we did a good job there. I'd say flatten it out a little bit. Just like that. Cover it, put it in the fridge. Ideally, you want to do this about 4 to 6 hours before you're ready to cook it. I would say don't go much longer than that. If you do beef, you can go overnight, but chicken breaks down pretty easy, and you don't want it to become kind of gummy like that. This is ready to go, and then when we're ready to cook, we can just throw it right into our wok or frying pan. One of the things I always struggle with when I'm trying to make like takeout style meal is cooking the rice, and I can almost guarantee you if you follow the directions on a pack of rice, you're not going to get rice the way that you want it. So I'm going to walk you through the way that I do it. You have to actually rinse the rice. So I have my little sieve thing here. So I have 1 cup of rice. Okay, this is basically 2 to 3 servings of rice. I'm going to rinse the rice. I'm going to actually slosh my hands for 30 seconds, and I'm going to run the water over it for 30 seconds because you want to get rid of all the kind of grime that's on the outside of the rice. If you leave it, it's going to make the rice sticky. I don't want sticky rice. I want nice, like, individual kernels. 1 1/4 cups of rice. Now, if I was to pay attention to the package says 2 cups of water, 1 cup of rice, and that's just way off. So that's how I'm going to do it. Then what we do is put everything in our pot, very high heat, cover it, and then once it comes to a boil, add our salt, drop the heat all the way to low, and then leave it covered 20 minutes. Once the 20 minutes is over, we pull it off the heat, let it sit for at least 15 minutes. So while we wait for that water to boil, there's a couple things here. Number one, the 15-minute time that you wait after the rice is cooked, like the rice by then will be fully cooked, fully hydrated. That's gonna make it be more of a fluffier rice. So that's number one. Number two, the reason why you want to rinse the rice is to get all that grit off of it. The extra grit's gonna make it sticky. Now, I imagine the fact that we're only using like a little bit more than half of the water that the package calls for is because we've rinsed the rice and some of the water actually stuck to it, but it can't be that much. It doesn't take up that much volume, to be honest with you. So I would just say, take what's on the package with a grain of salt. I've never gotten it to work actually following the instructions on rice. And brown rice, forget about it. One day I'll show you my technique for cooking brown rice, which works every time, because what's on the package never works, guys. Never. Okay, so you can see here our rice is just on the brink of a boil. I'm going to pull the lid off and I'm going to add some salt. About half a teaspoon total, 2 nice pinches. I'm going to give it a mix. Knock the heat all the way down to low, just about as low as it can go. I got it just a little higher because this is actually a pretty small burner. For the broccoli, you're gonna need these to be in bite-sized pieces. I've basically done that with this here, and I'm gonna take a shortcut and actually use the microwave to cook this. Basically, all I'm gonna do is, watch, make this bite-sized piece. You can use a knife, or there we go, we have 2 bite-sized pieces. So to get your broccoli prepped, all you have to do is, I'm gonna poke a hole in my plastic wrap, and if I were gonna fully cook this, it would be 3 minutes on high, but I wanna half cook it, so it's gonna be half the time, so 1.5 minutes. So let's build our sauce. First thing we're gonna start with is our ketchup, which you should have laying around. You want a couple tablespoons to 1/4 cup. Now the serving I'm making is basically 2 to 3 servings, so I used not quite 1/4 cup. Let's go a little bit more. This is going to be our main flavoring in the sauce. I'm going to go in with a little bit of dark soy sauce, not a lot. This is strong stuff, like a teaspoon. This ingredient is completely optional. It's Shao rice wine. We're going to go in 1 teaspoon. It's another one of those things that make you go, when you bite into this. Chicken stock. This is going to be the main body of the sauce. So you want like 1/3 to 1/2 cup. Got my whisk there, loosen that up a little bit. And then cornstarch. This is basically what's used in most Chinese restaurants to thicken up your sauce. Go in with about 1 teaspoon. You don't want to do too much of this. Give that a good mix. And there's our stir fry sauce. The build to this dish is gonna work very quickly. So I'll walk you through kind of what we're gonna do. I'm gonna heat my wok. If you don't have a wok, use a frying pan. I'm gonna heat about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of oil in there. I'm just gonna use olive oil. It's what you have around. I would say the lightest oil you could find is probably the best, but that's what I got. That's what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna cook my chicken in that. So this is the chicken that's been marinating. You wanna move it around a lot. You don't wanna develop too much color, but you want a little bit of color. While the chicken's cooking, we're gonna go to the microwave, put this in for 1.5 minutes, covered, just like that. Come back here, put our minced garlic right into the wok and let that cook with the chicken. Dump our broccoli in. Once everything's together, we dump our sauce in, and then we finish it. Notice I got my heat jacked up to high right now. I want this smoking hot. And I'm gonna cook all that chicken in one batch. You can cook it in multiple batches, but in this case here, you can move it around a lot. Let's go in with, spread it out, good. All right, rice is ready, so that heat goes off and pull it off the burner. That's gotta sit for 15 minutes. That's perfect timing because that's just about when our chicken will be ready. You'll see it's cooking up nicely. Now, once this chicken is ready for a flip, after I flip it, I'm gonna go throw my broccoli in the microwave. All right, so broccoli's in for 1:30 seconds. Now, the trick at this point is to make sure that the chicken is, I would say, 90% cooked when you add the broccoli. Actually, when you add the garlic. Right now, our chicken's probably about 60% cooked. garlic now. Broccoli should ring any second. There's the broccoli. You can see steaming, but kind of halfway cooked. Going in. This is going to take a good minute. Now, if you have fresh ginger, you could have added it along with the garlic. I don't. There's no rules here. If you want different vegetables, you could put asparagus, you could put mushrooms, you could put whatever you want. This is basically the basis. It's what I had in the fridge, it's what I'm making for lunch and dinner. All right, now we're gonna finish it with our sauce. Move everything to the side, give the sauce a good mix, and right in. Now you see, it's gonna start thickening as it boils. So I'm gonna incorporate my chicken and broccoli into the sauce. You see that? It's already nice and thick. That literally took less than 30 seconds to thicken up. So I'm actually gonna kill the heat. You don't wanna burn it because the ketchup has sugar and that will burn. And there we go. There's our stir fry. I actually forgot a minor finishing touch. I'm gonna drizzle very little of this toasted sesame oil. That's it. 1/4 teaspoon. And I got something special here. This is Calabrian chili olive oil. Now, Calabria is very far from China, I understand that, but we're using what we got, guys. So I got Calabrian chili oil, so we're gonna use that. Again, just a little bit, maybe a little more than the sesame oil. Check that out. And look at the rice. So it's nice and fluffy. You see, it's basically the same consistency as what you get in the takeout container. You don't want to dig in with the spoon. You want to kind of fluff it up from the corners, and you can see, look at that texture. Broccoli is perfectly cooked. If you cook it any longer in the microwave, the broccoli gets overcooked, and I like it to have a little bit of a crunch left in it. So there we are, guys. I'm going to sit down and we'll have the final bite. So you notice, actually, I mean, look, that's 2 rather large portions, right? Look at all that rice. Look at all that chicken and broccoli, and then basically I have the same amount, maybe a little bit less in this container here, which is gonna be my dinner tomorrow. Notice this container probably looks familiar. You probably have gotten delivery or takeout in this container. Save these, they're useful. They're perfect, honestly. Perfect. Without further ado, let's bite into it. First, we'll try the broccoli. It's really good. So this kind of has hits of sweet and sour chicken. You know, tomato and even ketchup sometimes is a base flavor in that. Most everything else that I used is standard Chinese food ingredients. Take a quick bite of chicken here. Cooked perfectly, didn't dry it out. I'm getting the spiciness from that Calabrian chili oil. Look at this rice. It's taken me years to achieve that, and I'm glad I can pass it along to you today. In terms of ways that you could have riffed upon this, you could have used barbecue sauce if you have barbecue sauce. I know it sounds crazy. This is more of a technique than it is an actual recipe, right? Other things you could have used sriracha. I would back off a little bit on the sriracha, but the main sauce is your soy sauce is what flavors it. Chicken stock is what thins it out. And you notice I don't have a ton of sauce here. I could have added a little more chicken stock if I wanted more sauce. The other thing I'm missing that from not having the oyster sauce, which is actually pretty salty, I could have added some salt to some of this. So it's a little under seasoned in that regard. So if you do it this way, add some salt to the broccoli. The other thing I'm noticing this is missing is a little bit of acidity. So maybe even go in with a little lemon juice at the end, or maybe apple cider vinegar or something, just to kick that up, give it maybe like a sweet and sour type vibe. This is really awesome. I'm gonna sit down and enjoy the rest of this. Do you have any interesting ingredients sitting around the fridge that you want to try to use up right now? Let me know. I think we could try to convert pretty much anything in the fridge into something. I had some Thai chili sauce I could have added to this too, which would have probably been a good idea just because we got it, right? Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Comment down below, let me know if there's any other recipes that you want to see me make, if there's an ingredient that you have in your pantry that you want to use up and need some ideas for, let me know. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel for more. We're putting out episodes every week. Turn those notifications on to get notified when new videos are posted, and we will see you in the next video.